Has Jokic taught you any Serbian yet? Why do you think older teams are struggling so much this season?
This could be controversial.
You could be a therapist or a FBI agent.
Oh, I don't think I could be an FBI agent. I think I cracked, bro. I kind of rode that wave throughout college. And, every kid has hoop dreams, and I just wanted to chase mine.
What is your favorite Chris Paul story?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Old Man of Three. I'm your host, Cam Johnson, with my co-host, Tommy Alter, and we're joined today by our producer, Jason Gallagher. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing well. One of two producers. Shout out
One
Richie
of
Boza.
two producers. Richie's in the background.
Yeah.
Richie
I'm doing
declined.
good.
Richie declined the appearance today.
Yeah, Richie's
too busy for
he's
us.
taking over the shadow figure role for the day. Jason, what do we have today? A little bit of mailbag?
Yeah, we got a mailbag. Shout out the fans. We got a variety of questions from them. Mostly basketball, you'll be shocked to know, but there is some other stuff too. So I'm excited to get into it.
Cool.
We're going to start off with a league-wide question from Mango Mike Jr. It says, with players like Wemby, Jokic, Giannis, Luka all missing substantial time with real injuries, what are your thoughts on the 65-game minimum for players to be nominated for awards and All-NBA? Starting heavy.
It's very heavy. I think definitely a unique position this year. I feel like it's way more of we're kind of towing the line a lot more here. I don't know how many Yok's been out. I don't know how close Luka is. Wemby, Giannis. I mean, it's tough, right? I think the purpose of it was to reward those who play that 65 plus, play that closer to 82 because of the impact that they have over that period of time. I think the issue here is that these guys that we're mentioning have an extremely significant impact on their teams, even in sub 65 game scenarios. So I think, yes, it does kind of stress what we put in place, but I ultimately don't think it's a bad thing, And I'm sure those guys are going to try to play that 65 game mark. And it's just too hard, I think, to pull back on that rule. Like, we set the rule, it's firm. I think you just got to let it rock. Whether I think this year is a little bit more of the anomaly than in the past, but I think you just have to let it rock and highlight some of those guys that maybe played 65 plus, and hopefully those guys that are close remain healthy for the rest of the season.
JJ and I did an episode with Tatum a couple years ago, and he was really upset about this because it cost him a bunch of money, understandably so.
Yeah.
But do you think that there are other ways to basically provide to make up to provide incentive for a successful season like the following year or something like that to make that back? Because it does feel like what we've seen over the last couple of years is guys rushing themselves back for obvious. It's a $30 million difference. You can understand why they would go do that. But at the same point, that at certain points has led into the playoffs or led to even more significant injuries. And so is there a way to change some of the financial incentives around this while not changing the actual, the same logic around All-Star of if you miss a certain number of games at the beginning of the year, you're probably not going to be an All-Star. It's not the end of the world. If you're not an All-NBA player, you're not the end of the world. But the financial gap feels like it's the major issue.
So are you suggesting if you, in a contract kind of year, if you miss it and then you have to lose that, whatever, $30-40 million that would be on your next 3 or 4 year deal, you're saying that in retrospect, if you hit the benchmarks the following year, they can apply it?
I'm saying if there was something like that would basically allow an essence of and I guess obviously this is an agent question. Some of this stuff is specific to the players, but it does feel like that's what the bigger holdup is than the specific, oh, I was all NBA this year versus not, you know?
I think that's really valid. I think that is. What exactly that framework would look like, I don't know. But the main point here is that in those contract kind of situations where there's just a lot on the line for these guys that have been playing at a high level for a long time, to miss out on X amount of dollars, just because of circumstance, just because of things that are out of your control is tough. I'm not exactly sure the exact framework, but I think that would go a long way in helping guys kind of mentally rationalize and compartmentalize what they're going through.
Yeah. That's all good stuff, guys. Great work so far. One question down. All right. Next up, from Peyton LaCase. What's a skill you've had to refine in your NBA career that isn't talked about much?
I think one of the biggest things that I think it's a mental skill that you have to refine a lot more in the NBA than you ever had in your life. As a shooter specifically, you go through the ups and downs of shooting slumps, hot streaks, cold streaks. In the NBA, that is completely amplified. You have up to 5 games in a 7-day period. So if you're on a heater, great, good for you. But if you're cold, it's game after game after game, day after day after day that you're thrown back into it and have to figure it out, right? So in college, let's say you have 2 games a week. Let's say you have a bad game shooting. For me, let's say I'm 0 for 7 from 3. Like, oh man, the world's going to end, blah, 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 blah. I have 2 days of practice where we're going live, where I have live defenders in a comfortable environment to try to reestablish rhythm, which I had done over and over and over again in college. I can point to specific weeks in my career, specific times where it's like, I'm going to iron this stuff out with live reps in practice. In the NBA, you don't have those live reps in practice. You just can't. You got back-to-backs. You got games every other day. You have to let your body recover. You just don't go live as much as you did in college. So learning how to manage that emotional regulation. Like when you're playing less games, it's a lot easier to get up for a game, to let that adrenaline. You just are on high adrenaline all day, and then maybe the next day you crash. In the NBA, you have to be able to appropriately bring it up and then appropriately settle it back down. And then like I said, on the mental side of things, just being able to handle those cold streaks and hot streaks and have things that you go to in order to refine a rhythm, because you just have to do it on the fly. I think that's the biggest skill that kind of isn't talked about. And we talk about it on the show a little bit when we have shooters on and stuff like that. I know we've talked about it with Duncan. We've talked about it with Tim. Guys that are really high level shooters have a lot of tricks in their bag at the NBA level to combat some of those things that we deal with.
What's a good example of that reset? Like, what's a physical example of it?
You're talking about like, what can I do to get back going?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually a really good fan question that was almost that exact thing. So yeah, let's hear it.
So let's say early in the season, I'm really struggling from 3, right? Like I'm in the 20s percentile. I'm shooting, low attempts and just missing the ones that I'm shooting. And it feels awful, right? It feels awful. One thing I like to do is I like to go back and watch. I'm going to watch every shot and kind of make mental notes. I remember almost basically every 3-pointer of my NBA career. So I know the feeling of when the ball came off my hand. Did it feel good or did it not feel good? Did it feel like it was going in or did it not feel like it was going in? And having kind of a barometer of that almost is a little bit better to use than the actual result, because some of them don't feel like they're coming off right and they still go in anyway. So I like to think like, how many of these came off my hand and felt good? And that's kind of a better idea of how much of a rhythm I felt, because just the smallest little bit, can result in a miss. So I'll go back and check those. And then if there's too many that I don't like, that I feel like they're just not coming off my hand right, then that's when I feel like I need to go back and kind of unwind. And it could be feet, it could be hands, it could be readiness, it could be the dip in my shot, it could be holding a follow through. It could be shot selection. Sometimes you need to find a better shot selection in order to get that rhythm back, or be able to hunt down the couple ones, maybe a corner shot or maybe kind of a relocation, one that's a real rhythm booster that you know that you've hit so many times in your career. And then I kind of have different shooting drills that I'll go to in order to find that rhythm. Sometimes it's a little bit more free flowing just to find comfort. Sometimes it's kind of stressing makes and misses, stressing whether it's 5 out of 7 for a spot, 10 out of 12, whether I'm just shooting 50 and taking the total number that I make and living with it, just finding ways to mentally kind of simulate pressures of a game and using that. And then a lot of work on the body. Like if my shoulder kind of feels out of whack, then just getting on the treatment table and kind of hammering after it a couple days, getting everything feeling right, and then going back to attacking it. So for me personally, that's the things that generally work for me. I think it can be different player to player just based on how you are.
Do you buy the that sometimes you got to hit like a not like a circus shot, but like a really tough shot? And that I'm thinking about like you had a game earlier in the year in Atlanta, the game where you guys came back,
Yeah.
and everybody was shooting, but it wasn't just you, but like everybody had a bad first half. But then you hit some like three where you was like you probably got fouled. It was super contested.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like you and I think it was Tim, but you and somebody else went on a heater right afterwards. And it was kind of like you needed this like wild thing to go in. But do you buy that on a mental level that actually
100%. 100%. It was Tim and Jamal. I think at one point in the fourth, this was early third quarter that you're talking about. But I think at one point, third to go in the fourth quarter, we maybe made 7 threes in a row. We were down bad that game. And then they were shooting lights out in the beginning, and then we kind of countered in the second half. But for me, right, like that game, I started off I made one layup, but I think my first 4 jump shots, 1 mid-range, 3 threes felt in the first 4 minutes of the game. I got up 4 or 5 shots. They all felt like they were going in. All 4 of them missed. So it's like, okay, you're sitting at 1 for 5. And as much as we hate to admit it, and it's just, I'm just being honest, it sits in the back of your head. You, as a 3-point shooter, you know how many you shot, you know how many you made, you know how many. It's rare. I'll speak for myself. It's rare that I'm clueless. I at least have some clue of what's going on, especially when, like I said, first 4 minutes of the game, that's 4 shots that felt good, didn't go in. I don't know if I got up any more in that first half, but immediately in that second half, that was my first 3-point attempt. And just to see one go down, it means the world. It just means a lot. Like, on one hand, it's like, all right, like, cool. I shake that off. Maybe even see a free throw go through. Just seeing the ball go through the net just helps your mental. Like you said, like I felt like I got hit on the hand. They didn't call it, whatever. The ball went in. I wasn't even sure. I thought my foot might have been on the line. It wasn't. So going from 0 for 3 to 1 for 4 feels a lot better than 0 for 4. You know what I mean? Getting off 2 points or 3 points, it feels a lot better than having that miss. So mentally make you feel better. But this is what I talk about. This is the mental side of the game. The best shooters are in the low 40s, mid 40s, the very, very best. And these guys can get hot. They can hit 7 in a row. They can make 8 in a game. So that means there's going to be times where it's the opposite. You're 0 for 8, you're 0 for 9, you're 1 for 7. So learning how to kind of kick that out of your head is important. But also human nature just says it's difficult to kick that out of your head. So like you said, that Atlanta game, I make that one and then I make maybe the next 3 after that. Just because that one just confidence, rhythm, just the visualization of it means so much.
I used to, when we'd go to, hang out with JJ, I used to say, because he's like the most psychotic person I've ever met. And then
absolutely,
there's also like a lot of shooters are kind of, they're they're perfectionists, and their craft is at best, you will average 40%. And that's like a wild
high
thing.
failure rate. High failure rate.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. I think both y'all could maybe weigh in on this. Why do you think older teams are struggling so much this season? Is it a run and gun league only? And that's from Canardist. I have no information that backs that up, by the way, but it was his question. So
this could be controversial. Older teams with older players that have accomplished a lot, sometimes it's harder for them, and this is just me guessing here, to when you have a 22-year-old guy that's really hungry, that hasn't accomplished anything yet in the league, their off seasons, they're working 24/7, trying to get better. The energy's always high. The older guys kind of have that knowledge of how long of a season it truly is. Older veteran teams that come off of playoff runs, they generally start slower just because you can't go 100% in training camp. It's really, really hard to come off of a deep playoff run and then have a crazy, complete 100% preparation. Human bodies are human bodies. Stress will break you down over time. So sometimes these teams, players, they don't come in 100% peak condition. I just think in general, it's fair to say that younger guys are more likely to come in peak physical condition than an older guy just because of physiology and time. And so I think that's partly what's contributing to it. The style of play, I mean, the speed is up. Basketball has always kind of been a young guy sport, especially as we kind of transition to this high pace, high flying. I mean, these young guys that are coming up that I see in high school, even middle school, like their athleticism is off the charts, and basketball players do continue to get better. We see a lot of the old guard, let's say your LeBrons, your Currys, your KDs, Harden, they have had spectacular performance after spectacular performance after spectacular performance, but maybe it's not contributing to wins as much as some people might assume. There's a lot of factors at play. But I just think, as good as they are, Father Time is undefeated in some ways. And I think these are just kind of the nuances and how it shows itself to some capacity.
Don't you think some of it is also even, I mean, in a weird way, you guys, like Joker's such an anomaly in terms of what he brings to the table and what he represents. And Joel actually has been great recently.
Yeah.
In Philly. So I don't want to dismiss him at all, but in general, like it's not even the bigs around the league, it seems like everyone's whole mandate is just play fast. It's like play fast and get up threes, get up shots, get up as many shots as possible. And so you have teams that are like inconsistent, like Chicago and stuff like that, who are not necessarily doing it. They're not necessarily like doing it well all the time, but they're still running. You don't have a lot of teams that like their goal is to be sort of methodical. And I'm wondering if some of that is also just a personnel question.
It's a little bit of both. Here's the thing about playing fast and shooting a lot of threes. When you do it, you can beat anybody, technically. You have a much greater chance of beating a team that is physically and talent-wise superior to you. But then you also have a fair chance of losing to a team that's inferior to you. But at the end of the day, it gives you a chance, and when you're able to generate good looks in a timely way with good shooters, I think you kind of just live with that. I think Jay Crowder put out a tweet about how the game is changing in that way, and it seems like it's less tactical, which I think there's validity to that, where when you're playing slower, you're a lot more game plan focused. You're a lot more attention to detail, who's guarding who, exploit matchups, and kind of win that chess game. When you're playing fast as a lot of teams are playing now, the chess game doesn't apply quite as much. It's a little bit less decision making. It's a little bit less critical thinking as much as it is, we're going to outpace you. We're going to get to our certain spots and let it fly and just play free and live with those results. So I think there's validity across the board to these statements. There are some teams that play with speed in a very, very calculated way. And I think the teams that figure that out and the teams that are able to combine the elements are the teams that are the best. Like you said, we have some high-paced teams right now that are inconsistent.
Yep. All right. Next one, we'll keep it light. Cam, what's your favorite place to eat in Denver so far? That comes from two people, Foodies Eat World 5280 and Heather_Port. Shout out them.
My favorite place so far is Garden Grace. It's a steakhouse, downtown Denver, kind of close to where I live. Great place, great atmosphere, great people there, great food. It's my favorite right now.
Bang. Tommy, any places you...
Casa Bonita?
Yeah, we haven't been there yet, Tommy. I'm waiting on you.
I wanted to go. I wanted to go. We had.
Thanks, dude.
Dude, I wanted to go when the Utah guys were there, and
where did we end up going?
We went to that Italian spot that Kevin wanted to go to.
It was
and
solid.
Kevin Love screwed up. We had a Casa Bonita res for dinner, and he was like, "I'm playing the next day. I'm going to be shitting my pants at halftime. We're not going to Casa Bonita." And so he ruined it. So your beef is with him.
And he didn't play.
And he didn't play. So your beef is with him.
So when did you go?
I went for lunch because I wanted to go. It's crazy.
All right.
I just wanted to check it out. I could not recommend it any more strongly. The food's good, but it's the environment. The vibe is incredible. The other spot that was really good was that spot Linger.
Linger is good.
Linger is really good
Linger
too. The rooftop is really good.
Yep.
Casa Bonita for lunch is crazy.
Yeah. It was aggressive.
All right. Cam, this is from No J Will 12. What was your reaction to Jalen Pickett's career night in Philly?
Oh, I was geek. Jalen Pickett, the Penn State men's basketball GOAT. I'll stamp that. I truly believe that. An unconventional, unorthodox playing style. Kind of just an unorthodox build for an NBA player, but a really, really effective player nonetheless. And I think that game against Philly was huge for his confidence. I've seen him play well. I've seen him play well in practices and pickups. I know what he can do. The NBA, as we all know, is about opportunity. And he stepped up big when his number was called. I think he had 7 of 8, maybe 7 of 9 from three, 29 points, handful of rebounds, handful of assists. And even bigger than that, he's followed it up in the past couple of games with some really, really solid performances offensively and defensively. Plays at his own pace. I'm really proud of him, really excited to see his growth and just to see him taking advantage of opportunities.
We should shout out, because we mentioned this before we were taping.
Yep.
Shout out P. Watt. Just been balling out of control.
Picket and Watson, Western Conference Player of the Week, with averages of about 25 points, 8 boards, maybe 4 assists on the week, something in that ballpark. Over 50% from the field, I believe, and something ridiculous, a ridiculous percentage from three. First of all, winning a Player of the Week in any conference is extremely difficult. The amount of talent that's in the West, like, that is a huge accomplishment for a young player in his 4th year in a contract years. You feel pressure. There's a lot of injuries. He has handled it completely just as a professional. And Tommy, this is something, when we had that conversation with him in Vegas over the summer, I only knew the Picket and Watson that I had seen over the past couple of years. Plays great defense, plays the dunker, scores around the rim. I didn't know his 3-point shooting acumen. He worked on it so much over the summer. And teams weren't guarding him as much in the beginning of the season, and he started making them pay. And from that point on, like, he has gained so much confidence as a shooter to the point where it's like, you can't leave him. You can't leave him. And teams that are learning the hard way. He had a great game in Boston. He had a great game last. He's just, obviously, all week he's been playing at such a high level. But that accomplishment cannot be understated for a young player. It's such a confidence booster. The dimensions he brings to the team, like, he doesn't even have to score. He can impact the game in so many ways. But the scoring, such a cherry on top, man. I'm really proud of him. Really happy for him.
The Philly game for a regular season win was pretty cool. That was the perfect example. I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but we talked about it, I think, off for sure. It was a perfect example of this is the NBA, and no matter who you put out there, everybody can play. And I'm not even saying Philly underestimated them, because I'm not sure that they did. I just think they played great. I just literally think that it was like the definition of next man up. and you could see the crowd understand by like the third quarter, like this team is like not going away. And it was just to do that, to finish the road trip in Boston too. I feel like Boston's on fire, and to go up there and win too is a it's a huge morale boost.
I give a lot of credit to our players, and I give a lot of credit to our coaching staff, because in that position, a coaching staff, a huge job is to just ensure that the players feel ready, that they feel confident, and the way that everybody across the roster played on that East Coast road trip, and then over the past couple of games, they played with so much confidence. A lot of that is intrinsic, but I think a lot of that is the coaching staff encouraging them to just go out there and ball and do their thing and put them in positions to be successful. I think we had a good game plan against Maxey, against PG, against Embiid that slowed them down just enough for us to take advantage of opportunities, and that's what guys did. That's what the game's about. They stepped up, they made shots, made big shots. Hunter Tyson and 1-3 late in the game. I think he had maybe 13, 14 points. Like we already mentioned, Pickett, like those are performances that can go out there and win you an NBA game. But then the defensive side of the ball also has to be in place. And from a game plan perspective, from a individual performance perspective, everything was in line for a pretty dramatic win for us.
Okay, this is an interesting one. Fintal interlude? I don't know. If you weren't in the NBA, what do you think you would be doing with your life right now? I love this question.
Oh, it's such a difficult question. The way my mind works, my next question is, at what point was I not in the NBA? Like, did I just right now stop being in the NBA? Or when I was in college, was it like, dude, this is no chance? You know what I mean?
I think it's if it was like not an option. I think that's probably the implication.
Well, just a little background. Basketball really influenced a lot of the decisions I made academically, starting in high school. In high school, it was actually, I joke with friends and teachers and stuff. I was a pretty solid student in high school, and I took a lot of the like AP and honors courses. And I would be like, I'm doing all this, but I'm probably going to go to college and major in comm or something and hoop. Like, that's what I want to do. And there, you know what I mean? It'd be like, oh, whatever, man, whatever. But I'd say towards senior year of high school, I dropped some of those APs and some of that stuff. And I know this is way more, I know the question is a lot simpler than this. So I'm just trying to explain to you how my mind works. I dropped some of those APs and some of those more advanced classes and lightened my schedule a bit and kind of locked in a little bit, just enough more in the hoop. And I kind of rode that wave throughout college. And, every kid has hoop dreams, and I just wanted to chase mine. And it was always school first in my family until this point. I'd say senior year is kind of when it flipped, and it's like, I'm going to chase this dream. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. I still made sure I did go to college, major in comm. I did do that, but I graduated in 3 years and gave myself some wiggle room for a 2 years master program with the last 2 years of my college eligibility. So what I did with that is I did a sports administration program at Carolina. And it was a great program. So had I not been an NBA player, the path I'd be down would probably be using that degree. Shout out to my spatters and at UNC. Probably using that degree and be somewhere in this ever-changing landscape of college athletics trying to make a difference. That's what I'd say I'd be doing.
I have 2 other jobs. I think you could be
Let's
a
hear
therapist, or a FBI agent.
Oh, I don't think I could be an FBI agent. I think I'd crack, bro.
No, but maybe you wouldn't be in the field. You'd be like in Quantico. I think you would be good. I think you would be good. I think you would be really good talking to. You have a very calming effect talking to people.
Yeah, the therapist thing is good.
Yeah. But I think that you also you are paying attention to what they're saying. You're listening. So I feel like you would be like Mindhunter. I'm not saying like you're going in and busting in like SWAT team vibes. I'm talking about like you got a serial killer. You got to break them down. You got to figure out where the bodies are.
I'd never heard that one, but let me, from the bottom of my heart, dude, like I appreciate that. That means a lot. So thank you. I'll take it.
You're right. I don't say it lightly. It's like I'm not throwing around Mindhunter comps. I think
What
that
a
it
great
could work.
series too.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch Mindhunter?
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, hell
It's a travesty they haven't given us another season.
Well, didn't they break it down just because like production was too expensive?
Yeah.
I mean, they went really heavy on the retro vibes, and it just became but what a great show.
That's
Appreciate
also
it, man.
David Fincher. He just like decides randomly when to do. Like he could always bring it back.
100%.
It'll
We'll
just
push
be one,
for it. We'll
random,
campaign for it. We're not the
randomly-
only ones. This is a
just
widely held.
We'll just get a buzz
opinion.
on our phone 2 years from now. It's like Mindhunter's back tomorrow.
We're back.
That's when we're gonna find
That's
out.
a great show.
Wait, Tommy, what would you be doing if you weren't podcasting and in the entertainment space? Let's hear it. Give the fans what they want.
I would not be a good FBI agent. You know what would be you know what I would love to do, although I'm not sure that I would be good at it. But I would love there's a guy who's you guys friends of you two, obviously, named Sean Feeney. Kevin brought him up on the show when we taped, who's in the restaurant business. And he operates, he is a good chef himself, but he also operates a lot of restaurants all over New York and now all over the country. Amazing person. We'll do an episode with him. But I think that I wouldn't say that what Sean does, he has fun. It's extremely hard and it's extremely hard business. So it's not like it's, you can just walk in and do it. But I find the hospitality world to be very interesting. And so it would probably be something in that.
I can
So
see it.
maybe restaurants, maybe hotels, maybe something like along those lines.
Yeah.
I'll
What would
pitch
you
it to
do,
Sean.
Jason?
I'll pitch this to Sean, Tommy.
I would be the dishwasher at your restaurant.
Jason,
Because my favorite
Jason-
job of all time was a dishwasher. I just plugged in headphones, washed dishes for 8 hours. No one spoke to me. Clocked out.
Honestly, it's a pretty consistent
It was
job.
awesome.
Yeah, you know what you're getting every day.
All right. This next question's from CP3 region, so you can probably guess who this is about. What is your favorite Chris Paul story?
There's a couple here. Let me think of which one would be the best to share right now. To sum up some of the ones I won't specifically say, Chris Paul has a very wide-ranging web of connections, and he's very plugged in a lot of areas across a lot of different industries and things like that. And just like one example is he's really close with Bob Iger, who I think is he the former CEO of Disney? Maybe he just stepped down.
He
Current
still
CEO.
is.
I thought he was stepping down, but he's still the CEO. Really close with them. And that opens up doors where he's like, hey, I think he took us to a Rams game one time. It's like, oh, we're just going to be in Bob's suite. Like, no big deal. Like, just real hospitable, like real life relationships with really cool people that, he might be on the phone with them. It's like, I know that voice somewhere. Like, yeah, like that's that dude. You know what I mean? Like, so just, president of the PA for a while, just plugged in a lot of different areas, just a really cool, and I could call him right now, have a conversation with him, just down to earth. I could ask him about anything. But my favorite on the court story, we were playing Portland. I might have said this on the show before, I don't know, but we were playing Portland in Portland. Close game down to the wire. Dame Lillard's cooking, right? Dame Lillard's cooking. And we're trying to keep him going right off of ball screens all game, And one thing about Chris is he watches basketball. He watches basketball all day. He has it up on his iPad. He has it up on the TV, and he will just watch games. And that's how he knows. After 20 years of doing it, he knows everything about everybody. He knows teams' plays. He's one of those people. People say the same thing about Braun. People say the same thing about a handful of guys. The scouting report is, Dame Lillard going left, aggressive to shoot. Dame Lillard going right, maybe wants to hit the pocket more. So it's kind of a close game down the stretch. And Chris is like, let me guard Dame. We're like, all right, see, go ahead. You got him. Forces him right off the screen. And he gets clipped by the screen pretty good. But Dame Lillard throws a pocket pass. And I'm on the right side. This is why I like the story, because of just my perspective on it. I'm on the right side of the court. So I'm like the left side of the court. The play's going away from me. And so it looks like he has no chance in the play. But like as he's kind of falling, he's not looking. He just sticks his hand down to where the pass could be, ends up deflecting it. We go on, fast break layup. And he's like, that's why you watch basketball. That's why you watch basketball. He's like, you got to know these things. So he kind of has that mentality for a lot of different situations where it's like he expects you to know things about teams, about players, about personnel, which is like really great from a team perspective because it keeps you accountable and it's high level processing of the game. But that was one example of his high level processing of the game that I really appreciated in the moment. And he had one of the coolest passes to me that I've ever seen. Just in terms of his ability to see the game. Like I said, we're playing Minnesota. This is my 4th year. The game's pretty close down the stretch. 4th quarter. He goes off a ball screen going right, manipulating the defense with his eyes. Kyle Anderson's guarding me. I'm in the left corner. And he throws a kind of like a no-look pass. I know we could pull the clip on this. Kyle Anderson is going to the roller. So as soon as he sees Kyle Anderson's kind of like, mindset to take the roller, he whips the pass, but he whips it like such on a line that it literally grazed Kyle Anderson's hair to the point where he like shrugged his shoulder, like his hands are down. The ball goes over his hair and he kind of like jumps perfectly in my hands for a 3. So I was like that was the craziest pass I've ever Jokic has thrown some crazy ones to challenge that now, but at the moment that was, just such a high level play, just his ability to read the game. He's a great teammate. And I'm glad I got to play with him for a couple of years.
It's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have time for maybe a couple more. This is from Mila Velikov. Has Jokic taught you any Serbian yet?
No.
Okay.
I know some of the curse words from other Eastern European teammates. But no, I know brate. I'll say brate. That's an easy one, brother. We all know that one. But there's some bad words that I've heard enough times that I think I know them now.
That's awesome. Okay, this is from Ciern, and you probably have mentioned this on some podcast before. But Cam, what is, in your own opinion, what is your best personal performance in an NBA game?
My best personal performance in an NBA game. I would have to say when I was in Phoenix, a game against the Knicks. It was right after my birthday in 22. And it's, I hit a game winner. I think that's what the game's remembered for. But the game started real rocky for me. I took a shot to the ribs early that did not feel good. Missed the rest of the first quarter, so I played 1 minute. Come back in the second quarter. One of the first plays in the game, I take a knee to the thigh. And like you guys, we all, anybody who's played basketball, contact sports I call them Charlie horse. Some people call it cramp of Charlie horse, but whatever. Everybody's, taken one of those before. And when I tell you, like, when you know that you've taken a bad one, like, yeah, my leg's gonna swell up pretty bad. Like he struck it where it hurts. First play back in the game in the second quarter. So it's like, I'm feeling completely beat up. I'm actually getting really pissed at this moment. And then from that point on, I kind of just went on a little bit of a heater and it ended with a game-winning 3. That was one of my few technicals in my NBA career in a confrontation with Julius Randle. He got 2, so he was ejected. So it was worth it for me because he was actually having a pretty good game himself. But that was just, I have videos of the game. People have sent me videos of like actual like fan perspectives in the crowd videotaping it. And it's just a really cool memory of how that building just kind of erupted when the shot banked in.
Buzzer beater at MSG is pretty good.
No, this was at home.
Oh, this was in Phoenix? Did you have one at MSG too, or no? Am I making that up?
A buzzer beater? No. I should have had one last year in Brooklyn versus the Knicks. Maybe there had been 3 or 4 seconds left, but I missed it. Felt perfect. Missing game winners is such a horrible feeling. But making them is like obviously polar opposite. And, it it makes you some good memes for sure, guys.
Cam, after week 1 of the NFL, any Super Bowl predictions, ? And also the Bears. That's from Fosh11982, which is probably Tommy's burner.
Tommy's burner.
Sending nine different Bears questions.
Week 1 of the NFL playoffs has been great. Hopefully there's another great one tonight. This is recording this before the Steelers-Texans game. Personally, I'm probably, and it's crazy to say this, but I want to see the city happy. So I think I'm going to pull for the Steelers tonight, which is really, really, really out of character. But it's just some friends and family. It's for the friends and family. I'm trying to be unselfish.
You would be a dick if you were cheered for the Texans to beat the Steelers. You would be like one of you. That's a troll.
He would be a Bengals fan. I wasn't planning on
troll, but that's a troll move. Like it being you have no connection to the Texans.
True.
That would be like I'm trying to piss people off to do that.
I think another thing of it is I really like Mike Tomlin and I hate Mike Tomlin's slander. So they're 10 years without a postseason win, 6 straight postseason losses in wild card or divisional. I think one year they had to bye. So I really hope they can kind of get over that hump so that noise quiets down. But yeah, great week 1 of NFL, wild card weekend. Such close games that come down to the wire. It's so hard to pick a Super Bowl favorite. Part of me wants to go with Broncos just so we can keep that Denver love rolling. I really like what I see from the Patriots, although I don't think they've been as tested as they'll be and however much comes up. Right now, I honestly think I got to roll with the Rams. You know, they squeak out of Carolina with the win. Maybe not their best performance, but I think the stage is kind of set for them to make a run again. And with Stafford playing at an MVP level, it's going to be hard to bet against them. And then obviously the other thing at play, this could very well be Josh Allen's year. This very well could be it. And what a great performance he put on. So I think that's what I'm going to say. Rams, Bills, Super Bowl.
Do you feel like it has to be Josh Allen's year?
I just feel like everything's pointing towards that. I mean, he didn't win the MVP. They had more losses than maybe they would have wanted, would have expected. Did not win the division. Kind of flew under the radar as much as they could. No Lamar in the playoffs, no Burrow in the playoffs, no Mahomes in the playoffs. It just kind of feels like it's written for him to kind of play the background for a second and then secure his first Super Bowl.
What'd you think of that Eagles game?
I saw an interesting point. See, this is what we talked about the other day was will sitting guys come back, to bite them in the ass? It's so hard to tell in the situations. I'm sure Packers fans all know all too well about that stuff. Plenty of teams have had experience with that. It's really tough to kind of let a game slip by and then host the Niners. That's tough. But the counterpoint is that Philly Super Bowl run, tough season, guys beat up. They needed that rest. I think that's what the coaching staff and players pointed to, is that they needed that rest and that they came in feeling a lot more rejuvenated than they would have had they played that week 18. But again, another game that comes down to a couple plays. Philly had the ball in scoring position there to win the game. And then I just think a lot of credit goes to the Niners, man. They played they brought out a lot of tricks, were able to capitalize on some big moments, and they spammed that running back angle, and I love it.
Did you guys see the after the Jaguars lost, the woman who was in the press conference who said the really nice, really sweet thing to Liam Cohen, the coach?
Yeah,
and then all these people online started getting so pissed off about it. It was like I want to know what you think, Cam, having been in those press conferences.
I didn't see the online sentiment.
The online sentiment was essentially, you are a reporter and you must act as such. You are not a fan. Act like you've been there before. Blah, blah, blah.
So it's that bad to support people in today's day and age? I mean, this guy had a great season. The team is rolling and he loses a heartbreaking game. Like, there's a human element to where she's supporting him and encouraging him. And you could see the reaction in his face. Like, it changed his mood. It gave him something else to think about in a really tough time.
No.
So
so clearly a nice moment.
She was also so sweet about it. And it was
it made me feel better.
I just think I'm kind of like, you've been through so many of these press conferences over the years. And I'm not trying to like downplay the idea of press conferences. We do interviews on this show. This is technically media. But at the same point, like, this is not like the State Department where you're talking about like invading Venezuela. Like, all the questions are like, should you have run a halfback dive in the second quarter? If the lady wants to spend 15 seconds saying a really nice thing to the coach, everybody should like clap. Everyone should be like,
absolutely,
thank you for doing that.
It just shows, man, we got miserable people on the internet, man. A lot of misery on the internet.
Breaking news.
This is why it's smart that you don't spend time. I will say, Jason can probably back me up on this. I've spent less time on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it recently. There's a lot of bad parts of the internet in general, but some of that is like unique there, where it becomes a thing where the way the algorithm works, it starts whipping people into a frenzy where everyone has to have an opinion on this thing. And I just don't know. This one was weird to me because I saw it and I couldn't believe how many people were like publicly being like, she should be ashamed of herself or whatever. I was like, are you insane?
Trash.
Like,
I'm with you, Tom.
I want to meet that woman. She seems like such a sweetheart.
Yeah, let's give it up for that woman right there, man. Respect. A lot of respect.
All right. And I think we'll wrap with this last one. You both can answer. This is from Shursky.
Shursky.
I love how there's like almost no normal names.
No.
There's no like Steve. It's all these weird combinations of letters. Next time, send your name in so we could say Steve. Well, also, the other context of this, Cam, is we used to do this with JJ sometimes, and we would just make up the questions. But he would tell that we were making them up because
the names are too clean.
The names are too normal.
And we would repeat the name. So it would be like Milo from like Topeka. Yeah, we were like, Milo. I'd be like, how many fucking questions is this guy writing? I just didn't change it enough. So at least we know these are real. But next time, send the name.
It's also obvious we made them up because nobody is like, hi, this is Milo from Topeka. Like, that never happened.
It's just
this is an old school radio show. All right. Have either of you gone down any good YouTube rabbit holes lately?
What did I rabbit hole? Let me think. Tommy, you have any recently?
On YouTube? Yeah.
We could extend it to internet abroad if you want.
I've been this is partially YouTube, partially the internet. There's a Japanese author, Mishima. His last name is Mishima. I can't pronounce his first name. I'm not going to try. He's a super fascinating guy. There's a movie Paul Schrader made about him. It's one of the best music scores of all time, which is kind of why I got into it. And then my friend recommended one of his books. He's an amazing author, but he had this crazy life where he basically was this like Renaissance man. He was an incredible author, super successful in entertainment, all these different things. Then he turned super political, tried to, I don't want to spoil anything, but tried to overthrow the government, and like shit just like went super left. It'd be like if like Leonardo DiCaprio is not a good comp because he's not an author, but it'd be if like somebody who is a very highly regarded cultural figure here just straight up decided to overthrow the government tomorrow. And so I've just been reading about him and his thought process and everything like that. And so there's some good YouTube stuff, but I would say that's a good deep dive in general for anybody who is either been to Japan or wants to go to Japan.
That's a good one. Mine, it was a Wikipedia rabbit hole where one day I was just sitting there and I was like, I wonder how like the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and the Mellons got all their money, like the family tree. So I just started going through the family tree, like who's alive today and how they made their money way back when, railroads, banking, whatever. And that was my rabbit hole, was just kind of seeing what them families been up to.
Is there a lot of that in Pittsburgh? There's a lot of that in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, Carnegie and Mellon are the main two. Carnegie is like there's a Carnegie Town, Carnegie Mellon, the university, which is a great university. Mellon, the arena was named after Mellon. Mellon Arena has since been demolished. That was old. But, there's all kinds of those things.
It's
so
interesting it's interesting to
contributed.
trace those legacies down.
Yeah,
Eventually,
like how'd they
everything-
end up in Pittsburgh? And I was wondering, like, how did Vanderbilt University become Vanderbilt University? Well, he just put up the money. That's it. He's like, I'll pay for it. Name it after me. I'll pay for it.
I have a football question before we wrap, just because this is another YouTube dive I was doing yesterday, just because we didn't talk about this earlier. How good was Drake at basketball? Drake May at basketball?
Very good.
Like, could he have been an NBA player?
I don't think so.
Because he's so athletic?
Yeah.
So what would have stopped him?
Well, his brother that I played with, Luke May, was a great player. In the end, and Luke's still playing, has had a great career overseas, one of my best friends. In the end, he just was a little bit too small to be an NBA kind of stretch 5, 4-man kind of profile. He's about my height, maybe not the longest wingspan. And he started off on an E10 with the Bucks, played in the G League there, came close, ultimately just decided to go overseas and make a really good career over there. And he's about 6'8", and what he accomplished in college, what he accomplished, is like an amazing college career, All-American, super high level player. Drake is shorter. Drake is 6'4", 6'5", probably 6'5" on the dot, but plays kind of a similar style, maybe a little bit more of a fluid athlete. But I think to have been an NBA player, he would have had to have been taller. At his height, that's like a 2 guard. And we have one teammate. He
wasn't a good enough shooter to play.
I mean, you got to be an elite shooter to play in the NBA at a lot of those heights, right? And I watched him play in high school. Really, really, really good player. But kind of more of like, in my opinion, like a 3-4 kind of game. Like a wing, a physical wing.
I think we could have got some Pat Spencer out of him if he had tried.
It's an interesting thought for sure.
When he comes on the show, we'll ask him about that.
We will.
Because he is like, until you really watch. I mean, and I watched them this year a little bit, but even yesterday, that was my two big standouts of that game was the Chargers O-line was like the three of us,
which isn't. Yeah, which you got to give him a break because you're missing 2 of the best tackles in the NFL.
For sure. But then Drake is so fast.
He runs like he's a legit athlete. Yes.
Yeah. And
he's a legit athlete.
So that just is a thing which I don't even think when he was coming out of school, people gave him, probably enough credit for just how athletic he is.
Football was the way for him. And if you know anything about the May family, the dad, Mark, was an incredible football and basketball player coming out of high school, was recruited highly in both, played football. And so for Drake, and knowing the family, Drake has always been the best natural athlete of the bunch, I think, just a little bit shorter than some of the other brothers. But the dynamic between father and son there, like, unfortunately, Mr. May had a shoulder injury that kind of derailed his career early when it was harder to recover from those things. But like, Drake was a born quarterback. I'm telling you, in his blood from day one, born quarterback. And it made me cheer for the Patriots, which I never thought I'd do.
You're cheering for all kinds of different.
I'm all over the place, man.
Steelers? Wow.
Just losing my mind.
You're a mess, man.
I'm a mess.
Well, those we actually have a ton more questions from fans, but we're about at time. So shout out to fans for sending stuff in. Hopefully we'll do this again, in the future.
We'll hit this next week.
Thank you, fans. We appreciate you.
Thank you for the questions. Next time, names.
And locations.
Appreciate you guys joining us for this episode. It was really great to kind of hear the questions and be able to kind of just chop it up. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one. We got some good ones coming.